Hey, I'm Rob Gant with the Goose Creek Gazette and the Berkeley Independent. I'm here today with two terrific guys. This is Ricky Dennis, who covers the Berkeley Stags for the Berkeley Independent. This gentleman right here is Cross High School football coach Shaun Wright. He's an excellent football coach and also an excellent fisherman. If you follow him on Facebook, you can see that he is probably caught more fish than anybody in the Low Country. Well, week 5 is in the books. We've got week 6 coming up. Ricky, I know you saw Berkeley and Timberland kind of go at it on Friday. Tell us about that game, and then kind of go into who Berkeley has next. I think they got to go to Hilton Head.
Yeah, so if you're Berkeley, you're definitely happy that the momentum didn't stop with that bye week, kind of coming in between the wins, but had no problems with putting the Wolves away with a shutout, 28-0. Berkeley rises to 4-1, and Timberland drops there to 2-3. So the Stags are really doing well this season. One thing also, if you're Berkeley, you're really happy, Coach Rob, is with how the defense is doing. If you look at the numbers over the past couple seasons, in 2015, they had given up 267 points on defense. Next year, 115 points, and now this year only 77 points as opposed to the past 2 years. So they're doing really well with keeping these teams from scoring. If you're Berkeley, you're definitely happy with how much the defense has improved over the past couple of years.
How much of a threat to Berkeley's defense is Hilton Head? I don't know a whole lot about them.
I don't know a whole lot about them, but in the past, Hilton Head has been pretty athletic. They like to throw the ball. Last year, they had two, I believe, Shrine Bowl receivers that they went to, but even with that talent on the offensive end, Berkeley has done historically a good job with containing them. So last year, they won 63-28, so still we're able to contain them pretty well, and I don't anticipate they will have too much of a problem this year. Hilton Head is 3-1, so it could be a good matchup. But if you're Berkeley, I definitely expect them to come prepared for that matchup.
Well, you've got buddies on both staffs at Berkeley and Timberland. You actually coached at Timberland, am I right? At one point,
I did.
And so you know Art Craig real well. He's got a milestone game coming up. But first, before we get to that, so the Berkeley Timberland game was 28-0. Give us your take on that game and kind of the way it played out. Are you surprised that the gap was so wide?
Yes, I think Timberland does a really good job as far as preparing each week. I thought that defensively they would have kind of held their own a little bit better than what I saw. But of course, I think Berkeley had the bye week, and I think they had an extra week to get prepared for everything that Timberland probably threw at them, and so I think that gave them the edge. I think Timberland defensively has been a surprise for Coach Craig and that staff, but I think they probably finally ran into a explosive football team, one that they hadn't seen all year, and so that was probably the case and why they gave up the points that they did.
Well, yeah, sometimes it was a classic case of a good big team beating a good small team. It's like why it's always it's like why the heavyweight champion of the world in boxing is always going to beat the welterweight champion of the world in boxing. You're just a bigger guy, that's kind of the way it works out sometimes when you play a good school. Well, speaking of domination, you guys took on a rival this Friday. You beat up on Lake Marion. Obviously, what sticks out to me is that the game plan by Coach Smalls, Denario Smalls, your defensive coordinator, seemed to be on point. Talk about kind of the way you saw the game unfold from your eyes.
Well, number one, Coach Smalls does an excellent job. He's really passionate about our defense. He's passionate about the game of football, period. And I think that his players on that side of the ball has kind of taken on his personality. And so we were able to see that Friday night. I thought the game plan going into it was to definitely stop the run. We did that pretty good. And I think that, moving forward, we're going to have a chance to be really special on defense because of Coach Smalls and how he's prepared. I think that, offensively, we were trying to get some things established. And we were able to do that, and so moving forward here again, we're going to have a chance to be pretty good against C.E. Murray, I think.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, that's the second shutout of the year for the Cross defense. They also defeated Burke 40-0. Well, speaking of C.E. Murray, that was the team. You rolled into Greeleyville last year, and they punched you in the mouth, cost you the region championship. Well, Friday night, they've got to come over here and play. And your team obviously had to have had this game marked down because it cost you the region championship last year. You got C.E. Murray. What are your thoughts on C.E. Murray and also your team heading into the game?
Right now, we're getting back healthy. We had lost a couple kids earlier, so we're getting back healthy, and I'm really pleased about that. When I look at C. Murray and I look at us, we probably don't match up well from a skill position, but I think they don't match up well as far as up front. So it's going to be a game to where can we control the clock, can we keep their offense off of the field, as opposed to them, really being able to possess the ball on offense and putting up points. They scored 35 points on Hemingway, which was surprising to me, and because Hemingway is a very, very explosive football team, and we can't get into the outscoring business against them. We have to play the defense that we have been playing, and if we're able to do that, then we'll give ourselves a chance.
Going back to your, we praised the defense. We almost left out the offense. I don't know if you know all the stats, but can you quickly tell us about who made all the plays on offense for you against Lake Marion? And also, give your offensive line a shout-out.
Well, and you're right. My offensive line, they never get the credit that they deserve. From the Cottrell Pinckneys, Trayvon Walters, Nathaniel Walker, Giandre Butler, Raekwon Smalls, Krishawn Wilson, those guys are the guys that pave the way for Nate Walker and Kendall Gaddis and Kobe Lisbon. They did an excellent job. As far as stats is concerned, we rushed for exactly 379 yards. I think Nate had 182 of those yards. Kendall had right about 94 yards. And so, the running game was there. We thought we took advantage of some things that they were giving us. But, of course, we know moving forward, we're going to have to be able to throw the football because teams are going to crowd the box and they're going to play us man-to-man, and they're going to say, okay, well, if you're going to beat us, you're going to try to beat us throwing the football. So we've been really working on that. And so hopefully, Friday night we'll be able to showcase a little bit of our passing game.
Well, look for a good one out here on Friday night, folks. I'm going to start with some scores from last week. Game I went to, Cane Bay won 38-31. Kris Copeland stepped in at quarterback for an injured R.J. Roderick, USC commitment. He might be out for the year with a back problem. Copeland didn't have any problems. He set a school record 300 yards on the ground and rushed for 5 touchdowns. Goose Creek, the Gators knocked off West Ashley 31-16. They scored in all 3 phases. Julian Lawrence, the defensive back for the Gators, returned an interception for a touchdown. They also got a kickoff return for a touchdown by Brandon Taylor, and the offense was turned to Dante Smith, a running back. He had 160 yards rushing, and he also scored a touchdown. As we mentioned earlier, Cross knocked off Lake Marion 38-0. Wando rolled into Stratford, beat the Knights 39-0. That kind of surprised me a little bit, but from what I understand, Stratford threw 2 pick sixes, turned the ball over 2 other times. It seems like to me it just got a kind of snowball effect, kind of rolled over them, and they couldn't get it done. Hilton Head Christian doubled up Northwood Academy 28-14. And in one other game in your area, we almost forgot to get you to talk about Andrew Jackson Academy. Did a number on our boys, St. John Christian, 80-26. Maybe we'll get back to you on that one in just a second. Coming up this week, Goose Creek will host Ashley Ridge. The Gators have the momentum built up from beating West Ashley. Ashley Ridge will be coming off a 23-6 loss to Summerville. Stratford, oh boy. They thought it was bad last week. They got to load up the buses. They got to roll over to Fort Dorchester. Shaun, you've had a chance to coach some good football teams, and sometimes you've also had a situation where you've had to roll into a situation where you're playing a very good team. What sort of things you think Joe Marion at Stratford is telling his team that, because they have to tangle with the beast this Friday? What do you think he's telling them?
Well, the number one thing, if I'm Joe Marion, I'm telling them, you take one play at a time, one quarter at a time. You don't try to look at the name on the helmet of the other team. You just try to do the best that you can with what you guys been practicing all week. And so, if they take it, one play at a time, that type of approach, you just kind of let the chips fall where they may. And if Fort Dorchester is a better team, then you line up at the end of the game and you shake their hands like grown men.
Yeah, you just do the best you can, and you can live with the result as long as you do the best you can. Fort Dorchester's coming off a 70-6 win over James Island. DeCurion Joyner the quarterback for the Patriots. And he's got so many weapons. We'll ask you about him a little bit later when we talk about something else. Kane Bay goes over to Colleton County. Copeland, like I said, had a big game at quarterback. We'll see what he can do as an encore performance. That'll be the Region 8-4A opener for the Cobras. It's at Colleton County. Northwood has to hit the road and go over to Oceanside Collegiate. I know their Oceanside Collegiate quarterback, Sam Hartman, is a Wake Forest commitment. He's lighting everybody up. I mean, everybody. He's throwing for, seems like 400 yards every week and 4, 5, 6 touchdowns. Timberland is at Lake Marion. That's the game I'm going to be at. That's a special game for Timberland coach Art Craig. He has 199 career wins. The chances are good, Coach Wright, that Art Craig will be able to go to Lake Marion and get win number 200. What are your thoughts on Coach Craig, the program he runs, and also what do you think his chances are to get 200?
Well, the chance that he's going to get 200, I think, is pretty good. I've played Timberland, I've played Lake Marion, and, Timberland, they're just going to come at you for 4 quarters. As far as Coach Craig and the chance to get the 200 win, I think he would tell you that that's a direct reflection on the players that he's coached, the coaches that has been on the staff with him. And in addition to that, Art Craig is just a really hard worker, and he's probably one of the best motivators that I've ever been around as far as young kids is concerned. And so, he deserves this 200. He's worked for it, and I think that, even though this is going to be the 200 win, hopefully for him, he's not done coaching. So, just keep looking for the numbers to keep increasing for him.
Yeah, he's excellent coach and also another good fisherman. I think him and Shaun Wright get together fishing. There's not going to be any more fish in Lake Moultrie or what. They pull them out of there. One other game I'm going to mention involves Dorchester County. Somerville is going to host West Ashley. Let's see. I think Somerville's coming off a 23-6 win over Ashley Ridge. That was a typical performance for Somerville. The running back Daryl Hancock had a good game. Quarterback Jonathan Bennett was a dual threat. He had some yards passing, some yards running, and they had some good receivers, as Somerville always does. Cross, right over here on this field, is going to host C.E. Murray. Will be a great region matchup if you're looking for a good football game to see. If it's anything like it was last year, it'll be a knockdown drag out right over there on the football field at Cross High School. And I almost forgot, Ricky, St. John's Christian played a game on Friday. I was in such a hurry to get to my part and to Coach Wright. I forgot you and St. John's Christian. From what I understand, the Cavaliers had a tough one. I think that was 80-26 in favor of Andrew Jackson. Tell us what you got on that.
Yeah, so definitely a tough one for John McCall and Mikey Smith and the boys. Lost a bad loss, 80-26, fell to 3-2. But if I'm St. John's Christian, you can't dwell on that too long because you're about to start region play. Heading into this week, they're going to play Northside Christian. Region matchup, Northside Christian is 1-4. So if I'm St. John's, I would expect them to come away with a win for their region opener. But again, you can't take anything lightly. But St. John's Christian beat Buford Academy in their season opener 51-8. Northside Christian lost to Buford Academy 52-26. So again, if I'm St. John's, I'm not dwelling on that big loss. I'm getting my mind ready for this region opener.
All right, a couple other things we want to get back to Coach Wright. Little known fact, if you didn't know, Coach Wright is one of the South Carolina Shrine Bowl coaches this year. I understand that he is coaching the defensive backs. You guys have been working hard on getting this roster together. We don't know exactly when the roster is going to be announced for the Shrine Bowl. Coach, we're not asking you to give us any names, but just tell us what it's like to be a Shrine Bowl coach. Also, how close you are to getting the rosters out. And then, if you know what kind of team you're going to have, tell us about the South Carolina Shrine Bowl team.
Well, first off, it's an honor to be on this staff with the group of coaches that I am under. Coach Gutschel down at Dorman is the head coach, and just kind of being under his leadership and his experience has been invaluable to me, and I'm sure to the rest of the staff. We've combed this state as about as hard as you can comb it, looking for talent. I think we've kind of surrounded ourselves with some names from all over the state, from the Low Country, Midlands, PD area. I think you see a bit of flavor from each area. I think that going against North Carolina, we'll have a chance to really showcase some of these kids And I think you guys will be proud of the product that we have assembled. It took a lot of hard work. We're not done yet. It's about done, but we have to wrap up a few more things, and then that list will surely come out.
No pressure, but beat North Carolina. Okay, beat North Carolina. Ricky, you had a very, I guess it was we'll say it was special, but you went over to Columbia on Saturday. You watched the Gamecocks. It was your first college game as a member of the media. You did a great job shooting photos for us. And the prize of it all was the fact that, it came down to the end, and you saw something special. I guess just kind of talk about your Columbia experience on Saturday.
Sure. Well, of course, as a Gamecock fan, it was definitely an exciting experience. Not only was it my first time as a media member covering a college football game, but it was my first time actually being at a Gamecocks game, period. Even though I've been a fan, I've never actually gone to a live game. So that was very special. Of course, if you know anything about South Carolina fans, you know that they're some of the most dedicated fans in college football. So no matter how the program is doing, just last week they got punished by Kentucky, but those fans were right back out there in Columbia and as excited as ever. It was fun seeing the fire and the flames go up and hearing the crowd go wild. That's definitely an experience that can't be replicated. So that was very special. Now I will admit that I was holding my breath for about half the game to see them struggle against LA Tech, which is something I did not expect and no one in there did. What was very interesting was that of course South Carolina couldn't get in the end zone, so they settled for a field goal twice and misses both of them. So that was definitely not a good sign for the Gamecocks. And then ironically, the game came down to a field goal. So you can imagine as they were preparing to knock that one in there, you could hear a pin drop in the stadium because people were just that nervous about that. But it was very exciting. I'm actually very happy for Parker White, a former Wando standout, who actually wound up kicking that winning field goal. So it was good, to see him get that win, especially after missing those two field goals. So very exciting experience. The Gamecocks won by 1 point. Of course, Jacob Bentley did well. Ortre Smith caught a touchdown for Wando standout as well. Javon Kinlaw actually started for Goose Creek.
Yeah.
A product started for his first time, I believe, in that game. So, it was good to see some low country people really stand out and to see that, although people are still, holding up, get well, Debo signs that they're, Gamecocks still have a few weapons on them that can really do something if they are given the opportunity.
Ricky got a pretty good video on Twitter of Parker White's field goal to win the game. I think it was like 31 yards. You were standing right there by it, and then as the ball went through, you kind of went around the stadium. You could see the people, and they were obviously very excited. It was, listen, you don't ever want to lose to Louisiana Tech if you're in the SEC. Let's face it. But at the same time, you take wins when you can get them, and you're happy to get them. Last thing, Charleston Southern opened the season on Saturday, or opened the home slate on Saturday. They knocked off Point 66-0. Big performance, pretty much from everybody. That was kind of predictable. They have another predictable game this Saturday. It's also at 6 p.m. Mississippi Valley State minus Jerry Rice is going to roll into, I guess, Charleston Southern and take on the Bucks. And Charleston Southern should be able to handle Mississippi Valley State. Mississippi Valley State's won maybe 6 games in 4 or 5 years. Charleston Southern was angry after losing late to Elon. So get on out there and cheer on the local guys. But it's going to be very similar to what it was this past Saturday.